Is your ADHD brain always 5 miles ahead into the future and today is such a drag and frustrating? Well, you're not the only one. Dr. Brandy, my friend, is here to discuss this. We've had a text chat a few weeks ago along this lines, and I think it's a really good conversation to have with everyone because I heard her, she heard me, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the listeners are going to understand this. So, Dr. Brandy Keats, not your first time here on the podcast. You've been here a couple of times sharing your experiences and intellectual conversations as well. You're the CEO and founder of the Experience Chiropractic Clinics, and you're the clinical director of Bloom, which is a prenatal care for mother and baby, and new podcast host of Pregnancy Pain Sucks with Dr. Brandy.
Yes,
So, congratulations on the podcast, and thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, dude. Thank you very much.
So, you mentioned your brain always being 5 miles into the future, and today is frustrating. Do you mind just expanding a little bit on that for the listeners?
Yeah, it's 5 miles or 5 years in the future. Like for me, I've always lived in the future, and I didn't know as a kid that meant that I was a visionary.
Right.
I'm a planner. As much as I'm not a planner, I can see the future, and not in a psychic way. I'm not a psychic, but
No,
I
but
can
like Eric Tuckman says, there's a
set
difference
a
between
goal
seeing the future versus executing it.
Yeah,
Two
so
differences.
as a kid, I had a very vivid imagination, and so like I would create like stuff that would happen. And in recent times of being a CEO, like I create an office. It takes 5 years to plan it, and then I can see it. Like I've been there in my head,
Yeah.
and everybody else then sees what was in my head. So like everything that I do, I create. I think that's what's cool about being an entrepreneur is you create stuff in your head, and then you make it real. And so it's frustrating sometimes because that goal line is so pleasurable. Like it's just like, wow, that would be so freaking amazing. But then you have to deal with the day-to-day realities instead of daydreaming like we probably both of us did as kids because we were so bored with school. So it's we sort of figure stuff out and then we're on to the next thing of daydreaming of like other stuff that interests us. And I think it makes it hard to relate to people in day to day when you actually talk to them where they're sort of living in the day, they're living in today and they're sort of focused on the little problems where you and I are sort of focused on the bigger picture and impact and reach and goals and all of that. So what do you think about that, Andre?
Well, it's not only that, it's also improvement, betterment of the present if we can get to that future. And I really, I never saw it that way. I see it in my head, and I've also been there in my head. And I just want you to clarify a little more. Like, you're not saying working in the present to make that future happen is the frustrating part. It's more, is it more along the lines we're getting near it or closer than also we're dragged back to today?
Yeah, that's been the last couple of years of my life. So the first time we were on a podcast, I was at a critical moment of my life where I was sort of at a mental breaking point. And I think you interviewed me maybe a week after I separated from my ex-husband of 26 years.
Yeah.
And that was extremely painful because it ended a future that I thought I would have, if that makes any sense. And it was my 100% choice to get divorced, but I had to live very acutely in the moment because I had to fix and brace, you know what I'm saying? But over the next couple of years of that incident, it has, instead of focused on the dream of having this, what I call it, on all my goals, and they're on my wall here in the office, is the Bloom Empire of affecting change for pregnant women. I've been dragged into dealing with my business that was self-managing, coming back into the business, having to fix stupid, mundane, everyday problems that are big problems because that's my business, that's my baby. But for me, and maybe it sounds selfish, I want to play in the future where things are pristine and not reality. If that makes, I create my own reality.
Yeah.
And I'm very clear about that. So to come back when I fix something and have to like mediate, HR issues that are stupid, and I say stupid because it's like, it steals from my mission. It's not stupid that people have feelings or whatever. It's just not my unique ability to be that person. And I think sometimes when things happen, it drags you out of, to me, being a visionary, and I keep using the word pleasure, it's so much fun to create. I don't like to meddle or to ruminate or to get stale or to deal with stuff that I feel is senseless. I want to create big stuff, and I don't want to live. I joke a lot of times because if I'm at a restaurant, somebody will say, do you have any allergies? And I said, yeah, I'm allergic to mediocrity, or I'm allergic to bullshit.
Yeah.
That's usually what and it's a joke, but it's true. Like, I don't want to be mediocre. I get one ride on the carousel, this world, this life, and I want to do epic stuff. Like, I don't want to deal with, somebody's upset about this or somebody's hours or this. I'm focused on creating like a platform for like women to thrive, or employers, or like big stuff. So I think recognizing that that's where I'm best suited, and then bracing in, like Dan Sullivan says, bracing the who's to get other
Yeah.
people. That's what they enjoy, living very much in the present. So that was
To
a good,
to execute a future that we want
yes.
or
So
we envision. Right.
we the aim.
So I just want to clarify and let the listeners know we're not saying HR is stupid. We're not saying that dealing with staff is
You don't
stupid.
want me to do HR. I
But
think
I
that's,
think a lot of the listeners were going, I get it. But
yeah.
I think just want to clarify is that that's not our unique ability, like you said, and it's not where our energy and time is best spent. I'm the same way. I don't want to
Yeah.
deal with the day-to-day crap. I don't want to care if you're coming in on time or leaving on time or, anything that has to do with, whatever. Just the day-to-day stuff is not my jam.
I don't want to do
We can
minutia.
do it. We
Yeah.
can do it. We have done it because we need to get to a certain space before we can get the help. But my unique ability and a lot of growth mindset entrepreneurs, ADHD or not, the visionaries, it is we see the future all the time. And I think I just want to clarify. You said you're always in the future, you want to play in the future, but you're not talking about being disassociated with today. It's more that we have a vision of what the future can be and we want to go there.
Mhm.
And we have a plan. We know it'll work. We can't convince everyone that it will because they need to be there. Right. And I think that's one thing is that this distraction and probably frustrating for a lot of other people is that we see it, we feel it, like you said, in our head, we've been there, we know it'll work, but we can't prove it till we bring everyone else there in the future.
And a lot of people won't get on board with us because they don't have that ability. I thought everybody had that ability. When I was in a chiropractic management thing, they said not everybody's born with a dream, so lend them yours. So
Yeah.
because I thought, like, wow, that's so sad that they, don't have vision. They don't have vision for their life, and they don't understand. Both of us are very successful. That we understand, if you have the tiny habits, it gets us to, through grit, growth, and all that stuff. It gets us. We've cracked
Mhm.
that code. But I'm sure that there's people on my team that feel bad for me that I'm moving 7 million miles an hour. I have the attention span of a squirrel. Like, they probably think it's painful to be my life. And just like you're saying, I'm not bashing HR, but everybody has different likes and dislikes. And as I said, I care very much about people, but when it becomes distracting from ruining that vision or that mission, it's frustrating because you just want to get there quicker, because you and I are both quick starts. Like, we want to get there yesterday.
Well, it's not only that we're driven people, we're high achievers. The journey of the goal is what we want. Achieving it doesn't really matter. A little bit of the ADHD
Exactly.
thing
You're
too is just like, woohoo, we got it done. What now? We
next
need
play.
to be
Next play.
moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I've had to learn this year is, like, I've been working with Marilyn Waller a lot, and it's like she's been dragging me into the present. And the sort of the universe aligns with everybody in my life right now is very acutely aware of the present. And I think I can speak for you that the present is extremely painful for us. It's very hard for us to sit in the present and focus, on like
Well,
being
especially on
aware.
shit we don't want to do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
It's
that's
not interesting. It's not
yeah.
novel. It's not challenging.
And I think we're both at a point in our careers that it's like, if that is, we just excuse ourselves and go do what we want, that we're able to do that because we created our own reality. So
Yeah. And I think we're at a point in our entrepreneurial journey and self-growth that it's enough following the rules of other people and what I should do. And you said earlier, impact,
mhm.
right? I want to do stuff that's impactful. You're doing stuff that's impactful in your industry. And then now you're doing with the pregnancy, women in pregnancy. And I really love the thing you're just challenged the whole status quo, saying, there's no such thing as normal pregnancy pain. That's bullshit. We can
That's
get rid of it,
makes
right?
me actually angry because I just did a pitch and I was talking about we have the Eagles here, and like you would never tell one of the Eagles who just got like whacked on the field, like, hey, wait till the game is over, or like wait till the season's over, then we'll fix you. But we do that to women. It
Yeah.
pisses me off. And I'm also the mentality that I'm a big sister. I'm a big sister, like I'm a mama bear where I will fight for stuff and it needs to change. Like it absolutely needs to change. So when I have to deal with something that's outside my unique ability, I think that sounds selfish, but I'm not the best person. I think both of us know that. We're very self-aware of what we're the best at. And when you have limited resources, or in this, this day and age with after COVID with employment, it's a different
Mhm.
job market. And everybody is very sensitive about work-life balance and their mental health, which is great. But you and I don't get
Well, work-life balance is bullshit there
it's
too.
bullshit for either one of us because we're carrying the mental load of the entire place. You know what I'm saying? When something drops, I think Gary Vaynerchuk talks about that all the time, that you can't get an employee to ever care, just like you could never get somebody to care about your kids
Yeah.
as much as
Yeah.
you do. You can't expect your employees to care about your business as much as you do. So that has you doing stuff that you resent because you're not the best at it. You don't want to hurt your business, and you could be doing such more powerful things to get that. So it makes you a little frustrated where
Well, like me in the last 8 months, I've been doing a lot of extra hours and time and weekends so that everyone stays employed here and
yep,
that we can save, financial loss or whatnot. But yeah, not everyone, and we're not judging our employees. We're not in ways. It's just that's the reality of it. We'll do a lot more than we probably should, but it is our baby. Now, the one thing I do want to challenge you is you said you want to work in your unique ability. That could be, and that is selfish. Well, I want to challenge that because this is the problem with the working world, no matter what, ADHD entrepreneur or not. It's not selfish to ask for and do stuff that you're great at versus suck it up and do the shit you don't like to do because that's what's expected.
right.
And anyone who's listening, business, worker, no matter what, this one, it's also for you, is identifying your unique ability, your strengths, your abilities, and promote yourself to do more of it. Yes, sometimes we have to do the shit stuff, but what you and I, Brandy, are talking about is being fully dragged in from our unique ability to doing all of our competent and competent tasks. That's very frustrating. And then everyone in the office is like, well, what's up your ass?
Mhm.
Right.
You
And
probably
for
want
me
my 16 hours
lately,
a
it's
week.
been redoing people's work.
Yeah. Which we're not, you and I are both not people that have great follow through. So it's almost painful to go. I had to pay
Well,
my
it's just done differently. Because you're talking about the Colby follow through, how we organize this, systematize. We get stuff done. It just takes longer because we work on 20 things at once. So I think our ability to have being resistant or counteracting follow throughs is we're able to take that and deal with that stuff as it comes because we don't need to follow through. I don't even like that term. Is how to execute and follow the system and get the one closure before I can go on the next.
Do you feel that for me, anger drives will push my follow through right into like a 10? Like if I'm pushed enough where we need to get something done, or like you had to fix some stuff, that's gives you the energy to be able to.
You've touched on something I've been trying to figure out for a while because everyone, they talk about ADHD brain hyper focus. It's all the stuff you love and kumbaya bullshit. But you know what? I can hyper focus doing shit I don't like, but I pile that on. So the next 2 hours, I just wait and pile a big pile of stuff I don't want to do all in one.
Mhm.
And I do get frustrated. Could be the follow through, could be the fact it's doing stuff other people do or not doing. But yeah, we can get frustrated and angry to the point where it forces our head to get
Yeah.
into hyper
You're
focus.
real clear. You're like, because
If I'm in that mode, don't you come near me.
yes, I will, and it's almost painful to be around me because I'm
Yeah.
moving such as because I'm just like, screw this shit. I'm just gonna get it done. Like, it's so frustrating for me that I wish I was like that all the time, but I don't get angry very. But if you push me to the point of angry, I will finish. Like I finished 2 books that have been sitting in my drive, 85% done since 2018. Sitting in the drive, 85% done.
Mm-hmm.
16 courses this quarter, and converted everything to Spanish. So like everything that took me, 2 years to do, now I'm finishing it because I'm so pissed at myself, honestly, that it's so stupid walking around and saying, "Hey, I've written these books." Like they're not done. I was pissed at myself, but it was painful for me to finish something, and it made me feel really stupid because it's like, why have these resources for women that are just sitting in a drive? Like for me during COVID, it became I was so pissed at myself that I didn't live up to my legacy of why I'm here. And it's taken me since COVID, it's 2024, it's taken me 4 years, but I've had to have grace with myself, with my life circumstances, with getting divorced, being permanently disabled with I lost all use of my arm uh, back in
And you're
18.
back. Yeah.
So I have to have grace with myself, but it makes you pissed off, honestly, that you don't have follow through. But it took me 4 years to get the anger at myself to follow through.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with ADHD or your Colby or your strength. That has to do with self-confidence, is what I'm hearing. You're pissed off because you weren't living up to your expectations. But let me I bet you it's not your expectations you're measuring against.
Whose are they?
Well, that's like my question to you. You don't throw that back to me. You learn as a podcast host, you got to figure this shit out, eh?
I just think it's stupid to have something 85% done and not just finish it.
But
So,
why? Who cares?
because I have to finish it. It's
Who
like
says you have to finish?
to finish your vegetables, Andre. That's what
Yeah,
your mom is.
screw that. Fish my fucking vegetables. Like, no, I'm full.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wanted to. I'm very into having integrity, and if I say I did something, I want to actually finish it.
Whoa, that's another bullshit story I realize I've been telling myself for a long time. So
Dude,
why do you have to finish what you do? Who are you trying to prove yourself to? I'm not just you. Like this is what I realized over the last few years myself. I had this high integrity. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to get done. Why? Even if it's stuff I don't want to do anymore.
I am.
Why? Oh, it's to prove something to someone who I can never get approval from.
No one really knew that I was doing it. I'm sure nobody would hold me accountable. I knew that
Well,
I did
that's specific to that, but that's ingrained in you. That's
integrity thing. I
it's
don't know.
integrity thing, but that's also a trigger. You're not getting that done, so that's triggering you. But that's based on past history that you've ingrained yourself to have this triggered reaction or behavior.
Yeah. It's true. I feel like I'm on Jerry Springer where like they bring out somebody that's like surprise.
Well, like for right now, what I'm starting to get really pissed off about is everyone say, "Oh, because my ADHD, I can't," and then ADHD, this I didn't, or my quick start, or this. No, damn it, it's not just that. It's a lot of it is this. We talked about this a bit earlier. I don't know if it's on the recording or not, but trauma. So a lot of the stuff you just described is what I talked about with my therapist. It's
Mhm.
from being treated like shit all those years, and your brain does this protective mechanism. Therefore, I have high integrity. I must get this shit done. So, because in the past that's the only way I can get approval or have attention, and now it becomes a habit. It's the only way because I don't put myself first to say, I don't want to do this shit. I got to do this to prove something to something. I don't even know why anymore. It's just wired in me because
Did
my
you
brain's trying to protect myself. No?
No, you're freaking genius.
Right?
You
So
are. You're
you got
right.
to
You're right.
understand there's a different layers of everything.
There's so many layers.
Right. And it's not just one label, it's not just two or three. It's the intricacies. That's why I didn't mind. I appreciate you let me do this. And I'm hoping later on you can let me
This is
publish
like
this.
a warm up. You just like jump right in. I'm ready, dude. I
But
can
like
take it.
there's more to it than what it looks
You're
from a
right.
label or whatever. So
And maybe that's the pretty thing that we come up with is all these stupid labels and tests and what we are and all that stuff as an excuse, but it is. We are like I think the reason it's funny. I just wrote a book. One of the books I just wrote because of getting stuff done was a partner book. And the partner book came out. Do I think any partner is going to read my partner book? No. I wrote the partner book for myself because I had such a traumatic, miserable experience when I was pregnant and vulnerable that the dedication to that book was a backhanded slam, saying thanking my ex-husband
mhm.
for treating me basically the long and the short of treating me so badly when I was pregnant with both pregnancies. that has driven me to be on fire to help women. That's the whole end all be all of why I do what I do, because it was such a I'm such a control freak, and it was such a vulnerable time for me that I felt utterly alone, and it was scary. Like both my
Yeah.
kids had very scary pregnancies, and we almost lost our house because I was the main breadwinner. And I thank him, and I mean that genuinely. It seems like it's a backhanded slam. If he had never done that, I would never do what I do, and I would never have the impact on people's lives or such a passion that I love what I do. And I feel like what I do is powerful to connect to those concepts of sports and how women deserve better. If I hadn't been in such a shit circumstance, and the way that he did the best he could, but at the same time, that was traumatic for me. And that has driven me to want to finish this stuff. And because women deserve that. Myself, when I was pregnant, I deserved that in my head. And that's why that was so powerful for me.
And I'm not a therapist, but I'm going to
Well,
say,
we both need them, like, apparently after this
no, but I think it's finally, I think Dr. Brandy got a little bit of self-confidence back to get it done.
Yeah. No, no, because I am not, as much as people are like, oh, you're an extrovert. I am not an extrovert
No.
at all. You know me. Everyone's like, man, you're like, I have had to.
Just because we like to talk doesn't mean we're extroverted.
I love people. I do love people. Like, but I love my people. I love
Yeah.
safe people. I love people that have big thoughts and are kind and, generally are trying to change the world. I don't have time for superfluous conversation or assholes, honestly. Those people I do not vibe with. But my people I love with all my heart, and I will do anything for those people.
Can you say that this is a recent trend? You've put up boundaries to just deal with your people now, or did you have a period of life you're just doing everything with everyone?
No, I didn't have any enemies, probably until about 4 years ago, because I was a chameleon. Because of trauma and wanting to be liked, I could
People
chameleon
pleaser. Yeah.
myself into anything that I wanted, and people took advantage of me. And it's funny, I hope this helps somebody. I just saw something where I felt like I had a sign on my head that said, "Take advantage of me," because to get my courses done, I probably bought maybe $100,000 worth of stuff of like hiring people that have let me down. And I'm like, do I have a sign on my head that says, like, I'm damaged or I'm broken? Please, like, come at me so that you can take advantage of me. And I heard this podcast that said, if a lion comes up on a pack of gazelles, it can't tell which one has trauma or is broken until it pounces on like it challenges, just like a person presents themselves to you.
Yeah.
The normal people, the healthy people with healthy boundaries, will scatter. They realize they're in the face of danger. Someone like me will turn and say, "Oh, you poor lion," like, or somebody who's, I see they screwed me over. I see they're not doing their job, and you turn yourself on them and you doubt yourself because your whole life you've been told the way you are is
fail.
wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that has really changed my outlook on that, because I always felt like if I had to shoot somebody down for a job, I could always empathize, because you and I hope you don't mind me saying this, we were losers. Like people did not understand us. We were misfits. They thought we were stupid. I was told I was a scatterbrain every report card I have. And I knew how to read when I was 3. Like, I'm not stupid.
Yeah. We didn't try hard enough. We just did more.
I have an IQ of 154. I have no common sense. I forget my keys all the time, but because I'm always 5 years ahead. But like, the stuff that people say is traumatic that have worked. I've had to pay people to treat me like shit, but there is nobody that has treated me like bigger shit than myself, because I believe that bullshit. And I think you and I are special in a way that we're very rare. And I'm not just saying that. Like, I am thankful for finding you in my life, because you make me feel normal, and you understand. And there's a few of us who do understand each other and have empathy and see the beauty in who we are. And I think that's given us depth. But I think it's been a journey to say, no, I have value as a visionary. I have value of creating these things. I have value of creating the vision. And I was raised in a family where your worth was working physically hard, being in the trenches, doing the dishes, washing
every hour you work, you earn
you got to work, and you got deep shit. And it's just like I've gotten to a point where I spent a very dark period last year where I had to like shut everything out. I shut everyone out, and I had to rediscover who I am. What do I still want to finish those courses? Do I want to keep doing this? Do I still want to own my office? Because it got really hard. And because of circumstances of getting divorced, and I had to do a gut check, and now I fully know who I am, what I like, what I'll tolerate. And I would say I still have an empathetic heart, but I'm not dumb anymore.
You can be empathetic, but have boundaries.
I have boundaries.
So you're not a doormat anymore.
And I don't really care what people think about. I think in the last year, if you've seen me on social media, it was so tightly held.
I love
because
it.
my therapist that I was working with through my divorce, she said, you have a chessboard and you're like guarding with my marriage and my business. People thought I was putting myself out there. I was not putting myself out there. I had it like this. And in 2021, I took that chessboard and I threw it off the table. And I put back on the table the pieces I wanted to put, and I threw the rest away because it was stealing my batteries. And anything that is stealing my batteries should not be in my life.
Yeah, energy. I've talked a few times about this on the podcast, and just like someone, I forget who it was, but we're talking about, if you were in a dark room and you only allowed 5 people in, who would you bring in? And if it's, it's positive energy, make sure the ones around you are positive energy, not negative or neutral. And I'm starting to look at things now. If you're draining my energy or if it's neutral, I stop putting time into it.
And they're not bad. They're not bad. They're just not for you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Wow, great. Yeah, that's good. It's not for me. It's true.
And I've said that with patients all the time. If I'm not a good fit for you, there's a million other chiropractors. Like, go with that. If you're miserable, I'm not your person. There's nothing wrong with you, but I don't want to energetically deal with you. So I think having those boundaries of how do I feel when I'm done interacting with you? Are you solar for me? Because I think in 2021, my batteries were gone. So it's just like when your phone is about to run out, you're sort of like sparing on the apps that you use. I've become very sparing on the people that I let in my life. And I really don't care what people think anymore about the people I've chosen because they are proven to me of being safe.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's funny because I used to see the t-shirt, if you're not paying my bills, it's sort of a crasher, but if you're not paying my bills, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. If you're not paying my bills or doing something else, then I don't really need to do anything for you because everybody has their own life. Because I don't owe you my life anymore. I used to give and give and give. I don't owe anybody my life. It's my life to be fully responsible for. And that's all I can do.
And you're a lot more strategic with your giving too now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I used to give
boundaries, and
I gave away my courses, my books, care. I can't. It's not circle anymore. And I think and people have turned it around where they're just like, oh, you used to give me this for free. I'm sorry, I'm unable to do that anymore because I have to pay people at my office.
Well, that's true, but that's a good thing. Like, wrong people are asking for free stuff. The people who value it will pay for it. And I think it's a valuable thing that we should learn at an early age in our entrepreneur career is the wrong people won't pay. The right people will pay a ton more.
Yes.
So
and they'll value it because I think that in the past where I've given stuff away, there's no respect for it.
Right. Exactly.
And it's sad because like you're trying to help somebody out and they don't respect.
Yeah. They didn't earn it.
Yeah.
So cool. Wow, we ran out of time very quickly. I can't believe this. But this was awesome. There's a lot of nuggets here. For that. What?
Thank you for the deep stuff there.
No problem. I'm pretty good at that, apparently.
You're really good at that.
But what I heard you say earlier, I really like this, is I see it and I've been there in my head before. So I think a really true definition of a visionary there. The Bloom Empire, affecting pregnancy change. Did I hear that right?
Before I leave this earth, I want OBs and midwives and husbands and mothers to stop telling women that pregnancy pain is just to be expected. They should be grateful. That's bullshit. Yeah. Like there is stuff that you can do. If we do it for athletes, why can't we do it for women? They deserve that.
And being pissed off at yourself is because you're not living up to your expectations. Is it truly your expectations that you're comparing yourself to, or something from the past? Something to think about.
After this, I'm going to re-up after a couple of years of being inactive. I think this session has driven me to therapy.
So, so since you were so not really trying to promote a crap load of books that you've written and a course that you're developed, can you take a couple minutes and plug that for me, please? I think it is very important.
Yeah, thank you for that. So I have drbrandy.com. So I have a subscription model, even that have changed, is palatable and consumable, fun information. So for women, I just had 500,000 views on Instagram of how to get in a car and not trash your groin. Stuff like who would know that would become famous for that? But I teach women and empower them on the stuff they may be doing to screw themselves up and how to fix it. I have partner books, partner courses. I have books for waiting rooms for OBGYNs called Why Does My Kitty Still Hurt? About pubic pain. And then I've just developed coaching for chiropractors because they don't get a solid evidence-based, research-based education on how to take care of pregnant patients. I was also a paramedic. I've delivered 10 babies. So it's very fact-based, very evidence-based, and how to communicate. So those are all on drbrandy.com. Or my podcast is Pregnancy Pain Sucks, which is Andre has been a huge inspiration to me for podcasting because he let me interview him.
That was that's right.
First, yeah, you're my first. You broke me into podcasting. So if I could do that, if I could handle that, I was shoo-in for the rest of the podcast. But it's #1 in the Philippines for alternative health, I think, or number 12, excuse me. Very popular in the Philippines. But yeah, so check it out. To keep it real, there's a lot of guests that'll provide a different perspective for pregnancy and how to thrive.
And to you, the listener, are we the only ones feeling like this? Let me know. Brandy, thanks again. I love you.
Dude, you're my brother from another mother in Canada.
My sister. All right. Thanks again, Brandy. And to you, the listener, thanks again for learning with me.